The Assembly will now hear an address by His Excellency Muhammad Yunus, Chief Advisor of the Interim Government of the People's Republic of Bangladesh. I request protocol to escort His Excellency and invite him to address the Assembly.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Mr. President, let me congratulate you on your election as the President of the United Nations General Assembly. I would like to assure you of Bangladesh delegation's full cooperation throughout the session. I would also place on record our deep appreciation to the Secretary General Antonio Guterres for his unwavering commitment to deliver on the UN mandates and address the global challenges. I particularly applaud his vision in convening the Summit of the Future. The Pact for the Future and the Declaration on Future Generations could help in setting pathways beyond Agenda 2030. Bangladesh believes that the summit's outcome will serve as a guiding framework in materializing our shared aspirations and rethinking collaboration for posterity. I stand in this Parliament of Nations thanks to an epochal transformation that Bangladesh witnessed this July and August. The power of the ordinary people, in particular our youth, presented to our nation an opportunity to overhaul many of our systems and institutions. The uprising led by the students and youth was initially aimed at ending discrimination. Progressively, the movement evolved into a people's movement. The world eventually saw how people at large stood against autocracy, oppression, discrimination, injustice, and corruption, both on the streets and online. Our people, particularly youth, gained us independence from an autocratic and undemocratic regime with an exceptional resolve and capability. That collective resolve should define Bangladesh of the future and place our nation as a responsible state in the Committee of the Nations. This was indeed a movement that primarily brought together people who were long left in politics and development, who asked prosperity to be shared, to be inclusive. The people aspired for a just, inclusive, and functioning democracy for which our new generations made supreme sacrifice. We were moved by the wisdom, courage, and conviction our youth showed. Even braving bullets bare chest. young girls were fiercely vocal against the illegitimate state power. And scores of people across cities lent their shoulders for their children. Defying sweat, rain, and fear of death, they defeated all the evil designs and machinations of few who manipulated the state machinery against truth and just aspirations of people for years. The People's Movement left an estimated over 800 martyrs in the hands of the autocratic regime. Bangladesh was born because of her people's profound belief in liberalism, pluralism, and secularism. Decades later, our Generation Z is making us revisit and reimagine the very values that our people stood for back in 1971, as our people also did in 1952 to defend our mother language, Bangla. Revolution that the world witnessed in Bangladesh in the span of few weeks may inspire many across communities and countries to stand for freedom and justice. I would call upon the international community to engage with New Bangladesh anew that aims to realize freedom and democracy beyond letters for everyone. Mr. President, our youth and people together entrusted me and my colleagues in the Council with enormous responsibilities to reconstruct a decaying state apparatus. As we took to the office, to our utter shock and dismay, we discovered how endemic corruption brought a functional democracy to a farce. How key institutions were ruthlessly politicized. How public coffers were reduced to rubble. How oligarchs took over business. How chosen few concentrated wealth in their hands and amassed and laundered wealth out of Bangladesh. In all, justice, ethics, and morality almost at every level reached a low. Under such circumstances, we were asked to rebuild Bangladesh and re-establish the country that our people aspire to see. To correct the ills of the past as also to build a competitive and agile economy and a just society. In a drastically changed scenario, to voice their views and opinions. A key priority for us is also to make all in public positions and institutions to account for their decisions and actions. We are committed to promote and protect the fundamental rights, for people to speak in freedom, to assemble without fear or inhibition, to vote whosoever they choose. This is what the nation desires, and we aim to achieve. We are also committed to uphold the independence of the judiciary and freedom of press, including in the cyber domain. In order to ensure that child of a farmer or worker can scale the highest in the society, we prioritize allocation in education and health sectors over grandiose infrastructure development. We also aim at ensuring good governance across all sectors. I wish to assure that our government shall adhere to all international, regional, and bilateral instruments that Bangladesh is party to. Bangladesh will continue to remain an active proponent of multilateralism with the UN at the core. Bangladesh is open to nurture friendly relations with all countries based on mutual respect, upholding our dignity and pride and shared interests. Mr. President, in the last 7 weeks, the government has initiated several actions. At our request, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights has dispatched a fact-finding mission to investigate into the gross human rights violations during the People's Movement and to suggest for sustainable course correction. That mission has already started work on the ground in Bangladesh. I wish to register my deep appreciation to the High Commissioner, Volker Turk. We have acceded to the International Convention for Protection of All Persons from Enforced Disappearance within 2 weeks in office. The required national legislation is underway so that we can effectuate its early implementation. An inquiry commission has started investigating into all the cases of enforced disappearances reported during the past decade and a half. In order to restore people's trust and confidence and to ensure that the tragic past never recur in future Bangladesh, we have initiated reforms in certain prioritized sectors. In that direction, we launched independent commissions to reform electoral system, constitution, judicial reform, civil administration, law and order sectors. A few more commissions are on the cards to reform other sectors, including press and media. In order to create a conducive environment for business, we have rolled out extensive reforms in banking and financial sectors. We affirm not to let any foreign business interest to be affected. Beyond rhetoric and numbers, we aim to establish effective safeguard mechanisms to ensure the sustainability of these reforms and create towards conduct of full, free, fair and participatory elections. I would therefore call on the international community to continue and deepen engagements with Bangladesh in meeting our people's quest for democracy, rule of law, equality, prosperity, so that we can emerge as a just and inclusive democratic society. Mr. President, Bangladesh views that maintaining peace and addressing conflicts is central to people's progress. During the recent revolution, our valiant armed forces have once again shown their commitment to peace by standing firmly with the people in fulfilling their aspirations for freedom during a most difficult time in our history. Human rights at the core of peacekeeping. Bangladesh remains equally committed to peace building from the inception of the Commission. We look forward to promoting and enhancing Bangladesh's value-driven contributions to the UN peacekeeping operations. As the third largest troop contributing country, our peacekeepers had served across 63 missions in 43 countries to date. "168 Bangladeshi peacekeepers had laid their lives from Bosnia to Congo. We do hope that Bangladesh Defense Forces would continue to be called upon in the future UN peace operations, regardless of the challenges or circumstances, so that the irresponsible choices or indifferent actions or harms caused are accounted for. Long-term damages leave. We are losing biodiversity, rising sea level and salinity decimating ecosystems. The damages in terms of rising intensity and frequency of cyclones or floods can hardly be ignored. The climate risks are faced far deeper by our small farmers and artisanal livelihood holders. As I speak, over 5 million people witnessed a most devastating flood in their living memory in eastern Bangladesh. Yet Secretary General Guterres showed that under the current trajectory, the world is heading for a plus 2.7 degrees centigrade scenario. I would hence urge for channeling robust resources for climate adaptation in the climate vulnerable countries like Bangladesh. It is moreover crucial to operationalize loss and damage fund by leveraging innovative solutions and additional finance. We equally need access to technologies and increased capacity. To be specific, we need access to life-saving technologies, particularly in agriculture, water, or public health, where a trickle of modest solutions or innovations can save millions of vulnerable population. Tackling climate crisis has to go hand in hand in getting global economy in order as well. The world is increasingly focused on decarbonization.